Fighter, as much as he's got going for him, he's also got quite a lot going against him. Let's start off by talking about the biggest reason why Mii Sword Fighter is underplayed. There are just simply better options. Unfortunately, that's a lot of what it comes down to for Mii Sword Fighter. There are simply some better characters out there with better moves and better physics. Now, despite that, I still think it's perfectly possible for something to be underrated whilst still being outclassed. The two terms aren't exactly mutually exclusive, and in the case of Mii Sword Fighter, I think he's generally both underrated and outclassed at the same time. Now, for a visual explanation of this, let's turn to matchup charts, because boy, we have a lot to talk about here. To break this down in the simplest way I could, Mii Sword Fighter seems to have relatively poor matchups against most characters. He loses to rushdown characters, better zoners, swordies with longer swords, anti-zoners, top tiers, low tiers, shotos, you name it. This is all because Mii Sword Fighter is designed to be a sort of jack of all trades, master of none kind of a sword fighter, which has its own problems. In fighting games specifically, I've found it's quite hard to design jack of all trades characters to be good, as they either excel in absolutely everything or underperform in absolutely everything. Characters who fall into a specific archetype generally have fantastic moves in said archetype. You know, go figure. If you don't fall into any archetype or you don't belong to any particular camp, you're not really going to excel in anything. And in Smash, that just doesn't quite cut it. He has some really good zoning tools. Dedicated zoners have better ones. He has a sword, sure, but dedicated sword fighters have longer ones and faster ones. He doesn't really have too many combos, brain data isn't quite good enough, and on top of all of that, his physics are just downright bad. But to tag back to previous conversations, this is more of an issue for the Miis as a whole, as since you are meant to design them how you want to, all of their stats kind of have to just be average in everything, but average in Smash Brothers is underperforming. Now, in order to not contradict myself, as I said previously, I think Mii Sword Fighter's moves are really good, both his normals and his specials, but I just
Let me
don't think they
explore
really
and
blend
then
together
I'll
as well
use
as
the
they
night
could, and the thing holding them back is his
as
overall design
time
philosophy. But any of
to
these tools on a
organize
character
at
with the
last.
fists to get the job done, and he'd be a meta threat in no time.
Where do we go though? I haven't gone north yet. I feel like that's a good area to explore.
Now, whilst I was left nearing the end of the script for this video, I was starting to wonder, is there really any hope for Mii Sword Fighter in the future? Ultimate balance patches
At the very least, there's nothing wrong.
going to change anytime soon, surely. But then I remembered that there's always hope for every character in Smash. The better players get, the better characters get.
Oh right,
And I personally
farm.
believe there is an absolute goldmine of untapped techniques and characters in this game that we still have not really explored.
There's so much to do in terms of establishment.
Just last year turned up to be pretty good actually. Now, I'm not saying Mii Sword Fighter has exactly core
Mid-game still remains the worst part of the game.
to discovery. And if more people were to pick up Mii Sword Fighter, I think more things would be discovered.
The pace of early game and mid and late game are both fantastic. You're in constant danger in the early game, and in the late game you're just doing, the world is just your oyster in late game. But in mid game is plagued by so much grinding. Just an absurd amount of grinding.
Well, quite right, but he hates it.
With ridiculous wait times for the payoffs.
Is to be determined. A new Switch is on the way, a new Smash is on the way. That is inevitable. With or without Sakurai, Nintendo will be making another Smash Brothers. And I'm hopefully 100% confident the Miis will return. And if they do decide to allow the Miis to keep their really cool custom moves, I would like to see their normals and neutral moves improved as well. Although, if I'm honest with you, I would like to see a whole new approach to designing characters in the future Smash game. There are some characters in Ultimates that have been terrible since Brawl, and if another Smash game comes out, that's gotta change. So hopefully Mii Sword Fighter will be swept up on the good side amongst the ranks. Thank you very much everyone for watching. If you did enjoy this video, do leave a like and leave a comment down below telling me why. I'm expecting about 4 people to watch this video because it's not TF2 related, so I really am grateful for your engagement. And a further thank you to all of my Patreons and YouTube members. And an extra special thank you going to Skylar, Zukos, and Hatsune. Alright, I'm gonna go boil the kettle. I'll see you later.
Wow, the delay in the attacks really does make this game feel like Dark Souls. What we're looking for are structures. The lifeblood of any playthrough, of any mid-game journey. For obvious reasons, what I'm really after are diamonds. No, it's just morning. I thought the sun was setting. We have plenty of time. No need to hurry. No need to worry. Look at her, she's so cool, but holy shit, she's so tough. I'd probably fucking slap her ass easily once I reach late game though. I'll literally clap her ass back to back. Having a speed in this section of the game would be nice. However, I still have yet to procure leather. You know, yeah, I really should start working on my farm so I can get a backpack. As well as something to sleep in quickly. Why am I choosing to explore for diamonds? When my priority really should be, it's just, so fucking boring. I want to go on adventures. The map will surely reveal something interesting. Eventually. Well, that was weird. God, my critical hit timing's gonna be way off when I finally get rid of this gravity suit. I'll be so used to my floaty physics. What's that over there? I should probably get more wood. Mountain climbing so much fun with parkour. Oh, that was a big vein. I spy a tower in the prairie. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but it was. Whoa, 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 whoa! Village spotted! I take back everything I said about the prairie biome. Everything negative. Oh, did the goat just fucking... Yep. Oh, this is cemetery. Cemeteries usually have lots of iron. Well, I say that, but that honestly mostly depends. I can just jump over these. I do need cobwebs. It's a beautiful day for grave robbing. I'll take the candles since apparently they're good for... Ooh! Yes, please! And that's everything good. Let's run along now, it's almost night. Well, it's midday. Please tell me you have a teleporter in your village. Cherry Grove. Ooh.
To answer the question posted in the title, if one were to try and cook pork chops, as many as possible, using only campfires, you'd be able to cook 672,000 per hour, 11,000
Okay, our inventory is full, so I got
and 186 per second.
realistically raid right now. The tower.
That's about this much pork chops.
For now, all I can do is hope there's a teleporter.
These double chests.
And then I'll set up a farm and come back to this place later.
Some sort of mystical resource that can actually smelt a large amount of items without needing any fuel at all. And I guess that's kind of true, but getting these raids is contingent on getting this amount of items to 1,400 campfires in the first place. So I guess that's the real question I'm trying to answer in today's video. How can you get a player to access 1,400 campfires in under 30 seconds? And by the way, the staircase of campfires I'm standing in front of actually goes further than my render distance, and also is double layered. But before we dive into all the technical nonsense that you're actually here for, we need to go over the basics of how campfires work, because I guarantee not a lot of people actually use them very much, and that's understandable, as they're kind of hot garbage for smelting anything more than just a few items. So let's start simple. When you right-click a lit campfire with a food item, it places it onto the edge of the campfire. You have to right-click it 4 times and then place food on all 4 corners, and after 30 seconds, the food will simply pop off.
Great.
Now, if you know that furnaces take exactly 10
These people
seconds
are
to smelt any
idiots.
given item, you might actually realize that campfires are actually faster. They can cook 4 items in 30 seconds, which is 7.5 seconds per item, versus 10 seconds per item. Although this comes with a caveat of only being able to cook food, in which case you might as well use a smoker, which does cook things at double the rate, so 5 seconds per item. So I guess they're not really faster. This fact is combined with the fact that you have to sit here and keep right-clicking the campfire over and over again, continually babysitting it in order to actually get that maximum output. So it's really not suited for mass production. But now we know exactly how campfires work, let's talk about how we can actually use them as most effectively as possible. The only time players are actually needed to interact with them is placing the food on them, so we should try and focus on getting as many campfires in front of the player's face as possible. Also, by the way, even though campfires have really pretty animations, since we're going to be spending the duration of the
Fuck
video
me, I
staring
guess.
into them and having tons of them on the screen at once, I'll be using dimmer soul campfires, and I've also retextured them to remove the animation and replace it with this very minimalist blue spike instead. I'm kind of super not interested in giving everybody watching needless eye strain. It also just makes it really easier to see what's going on. Also, I've gone ahead and turned off all smoke particles that soul campfires produce, because I'm not too interested in making my PC a campfire as well. Alright, first idea, use a big auto clicker and try to shove as many campfires in front of the player as possible by flowing down a water stream vertically and letting them kind of fall into vision. I mean, it's pretty fast. However, not only is this method incredibly slow, you end up with a lot of kelp stuck on the campfires like this, which is really hard to remove since we can't really put hoppers underneath or running water to push them off. And believe me, we're not using allays because they kind of get drawn to the fires like moths to a lamp and are basically instantly fried. Next idea is going sideways, but this immediately falls flat because without the vertical movement, we actually can't change our mouse position to hit anything more than just one campfire per tile. In order to make this anywhere close to even viable, we needed the machine to be able to allow us to put us in front of all of the campfires completely autonomously, so this is also not going to work. As you've probably seen in the background, the best way to actually approach this problem is to combine both worlds. By having a slanted rail, we can actually get some vertical movement, which allows us to change our mouse position and hit multiple campfires in one row, but we also get the benefit of the horizontal setup by allowing us access to the undersides of the campfires, allowing for the hypothetical placement of some hoppers or hop minecarts. Getting the perfect alignment to actually hit the campfires at the right angle is actually pretty easy. All I have is this weird little setup here. When I put a minecart here and get in, you can actually only see this portion of the button, and by keeping your mouse cursor there when you hit it, you're actually already in the right position to place kelp. But wait, hold on, I'm not actually hitting every single campfire. Is that because I'm moving too fast? The answer is sort of, because the thing is that the auto clicker that I'm using is Tweaker's auto clicker, but this would be an issue with every auto clicker. It clicks incredibly fast. But the thing is that the game never
This is the one with the cave spider spawner.
which I'm looking at a particular campfire, then it can never click on that particular campfire. Which means that if my frame rate is lower, that means I'm going to be visually missing campfires, and thus I'll click less of them. Does this mean that the burgeoning world of campfire tech is actually hardware locked, and if you have a bad computer, you can't use it? Yeah, pretty much. Anyways, let's think about item collection. Since the items simply just pop off of the campfire, we can expect them to simply just be resting on top of the campfire. The first thought might be running a hopper minecart underneath, and this looks really great, and it does until it reaches the top, and can't come back down again. I guess hypothetically, you could run a separate rail around to send the minecarts up down to the bottom, but that kind of sucks, so let's try lowering the rail. If we lower the rail, then it works perfectly, both up and down, but you'll quickly notice that it's actually too far away from the campfires now to pick up your items. This also sucks. This might seem hopeless, but you have to remember that motion developers are basically constantly on crack whenever they're making code, which is why we can actually solve this problem by putting the rails directly inside of the campfires, because that suddenly somehow fixes the problem and allows the micro to go both up and down, while still being able
Plenty
to
of
be
iron
close enough to
beneath
pick up
here,
the
but I don't
items.
want to
Now, what
dabble
exactly
with
does
any
this work?
spiders at the
Well,
moment,
when
especially if
minecarts
the
and also
cave
hopper
variety.
minecarts check to see if there's an obstruction in front of them and they can't move forward, they look, well, in front of them, like so. And this makes perfect sense on perfectly flat ground. When minecarts are in a sloped section, that sort of check happens a little bit higher than it potentially should be, and it only checks this block if it's obstructed. So if I put something there, and then put a rail here, then it will be stopped. But it actually only checks at sort of head height, and does not care if there's a block directly obstructing it here, thus allowing it to just essentially directly clip into whatever obstruction you have directly on top of the rails, while always being obstructed by anything sort of a little bit above it. But hey, wait a minute. If we can install campfires directly on top of rails, doesn't that allow us to put an entirely extra column of campfires, increasing the productivity of our machine? And that is true, although if you're quite observant, you might realize that doing this might incur some unintended extra side effects. But hey, when it comes to increasing the bottom line, worker safety is a necessary sacrifice, and you can also
Yikes.
use a fire resistance potion, which protects you from the damage. Oh, and by the way, before we move on, if you like this kind of style of video, make sure to subscribe, because I intend to have a slightly more coherent upload schedule in the future, and I make a lot of videos very similar to this,
You mean
so make sure to
consistent?
stick around for those. Anyways, alright, now that we've figured out exactly what systems we're going to employ to help the player place as many food items onto campfires as possible, now we have to figure out how many campfires we actually need. Since campfires take 30 seconds to cook something, we should return to any given campfire after 30 seconds exactly in order to replenish it and get the most use out of any given campfire. Thus, if we build a rail track, this minecart should return to these campfires the moment it finishes cooking. And after speeding up time a little bit, so it does. This track is understandably quite long, which is what ultimately gets us to having 1400 campfires. Anyways, now that we have all the theory out of the way, now we can move on to the actual final product. This absolute monstrosity of a 1400 campfire super smelter. The way the thing works is pretty simple.
Yeah, we definitely have. They definitely nerf parkour.
In the same setup, and they're immediately followed by 4 sets of hopper minecarts. Since this machine just produces so much cooked product, you need actually this many hopper minecarts to keep up with the whole thing. In tandem, we're going to activate the food dispensing system, which operates based on this block here, and just dispenses a single piece of kelp into each of these cobwebs.
Ooh.
Every now and then. The way the item collection works is using a system called cart eating, so if I go ahead and put a bunch of dried kelp on here, the carts will pick it up and actually get burned, which will dump all of the kelp into this water stream where they can all be picked up. The carts actually get saved into these hoppers right here, in which case they're moved into these dispensers, which will be activated upon the next cycle, which is triggered by the player hitting this pressure plate, which then runs to those dispensers. Exiting.
Hey, that's another village. And a tower.
All you have to do is hit one of these note blocks.
I guess the two come in pairs, huh? At least in this world.
And cause the player to drop through this underground track and up back to the starting position. Alright, now that you basically have a college education in campfire super smelting, let's talk about survival applicability. The pro is that it doesn't use fuel. You could hypothetically keep smelting kelp until the end of eternity as long as you never ran out of kelp, or space to store it. The cons are that it's senselessly overcomplicated, it's basically just a super smelter on crack, completely needlessly overcomplicated. It's not really faster than normal furnaces because you can only have so many campfires, whereas you could build an infinite number of furnaces. It requires a player to sit here constantly and field campfires, which is a huge waste. It actually does require fuel. If you're not constantly chugging fire resistance, you die basically in 10 seconds, so but I guess it's worth it for the extra campfires, so I guess that's not really that much of a con. And also, it literally only cooks kelp. Despite many of these food items being able to be put on campfires, kelp is actually a rare exception in that it doesn't allow you to eat it in its raw state. The reason that's important is because when we're clicking so fast, the moment we fill up any given campfire, our player character is going to start eating. And when they're eating, they're going to stop placing food, which is really, really bad. Kelp doesn't do this, meaning it's the only one we can actually fuel efficiently with campfires. Ironically, kelp is only really good for fuel anyway, so I guess you can build a fuelless super smelter to fuel your actual super smelter. I'm not really going to question the philosophy of this because it's kind of already meaningless from the start, but take with that what you will. Anyways, that's basically it. Here's some footage of me actually using the machine, although it's actually impossible to see it running at full capacity because just looking at it causes so much lag for my computer that it actually self-throttles down to lower FPS anyways, lowering productivity. But, I don't know. There's not a whole lot I can do.
Yeah, let's
This whole idea is stupid anyways, so it's not like
let's organize this shit.
if you like the kind of content I'm making, be sure to check out the other videos I make. They're very similar. Also subscribe to see the future videos that I'm posting. And make sure to check out the Discord server, and I'll see you next time. See you.
Oh, he's actually spying around. What the hell? And he's gone. Oh, southwards is an ocean. More towers. Let's just put everything away for now. What kind of weapons do we have access to? Can I make a whacking stick? I guess they're all just swords. Oh, look how cool the netherite spear looks. I hope this isn't too much. What the fuck? One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8. Glow in the dark eyes, very cool. Oh my god, this is always the worst. I hate cleaning. I hate organizing. Seriously, what's going on with bio music? Maybe I should downgrade.
That's a 90% win rate Emperor Charles has if that card can get summoned. Lol.
Uh, Our house is staggeringly low. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to make a quick run to the south. I need to focus. One thing at a time. Doesn't matter how much time passes. Storage setup first. I think there's a torch here.
Hey friends, this is part 3 of what I guess is now the How Powerful is Minecraft Steve series. I'll try and make sure the other two aren't required to watch this one, but go ahead and check them out if you're interested. In the first video, I wrote this formula and used it to determine that the mass of water in an in-game water bucket is about 2 quadrillion kilograms. In
What?
the second one, I made some corrections and took some suggestions from the comments to figure out how much Steve could actually lift. With the heaviest setup being an inventory full of shulker boxes, each filled with blue ice, weighing a total of 41 sextillion kilograms. And then I went on to use that to figure out how hard Steve can punch, and how hard he could ram into something, using what I dubbed his kinetic boat bombardment attack. For this video, you guys, in your stupid great points, suggested a bunch of stuff that I didn't account for, or that might increase the weight even further. There were so many suggestions that this video's length ballooned out of control, and I still only covered half the topics. So in the interest of me sleeping at some point, I guess I'm already committed to part 4. For now, let's start with a few possible corrections. First, a bunch of people said that I forgot to talk about packed ice and blue ice. But it's in friends, I promise. A huge oversight that I did make was that for the final number, with all the blue ice and shulker boxes, I used 3.62 as the ratio between Earth gravity and Minecraft gravity, when it should have been 3.26. So that total of 41 sextillion kilograms should be closer to 37 sextillion kilograms. And that wasn't the only major error I made, because minutes after the last video went up, user FRCubit pointed out that I used 36 as the number of slots in the chest, instead of 27. And they're right, I totally said that. Oops. That mistake doesn't affect Steve's lifting strength, but it does mean I overestimated the power of both his punch and the kinetic boat bombardment attack. So here are the real numbers for those. I triple-checked all the math this time around, and I'm pretty sure I didn't make any more super simple errors. However, I am stupid, so let me know if I'm wrong. After that, A lot of folks argued that because 2 source blocks make infinite water, carrying 2 buckets should be infinite weight. So now seems like a good time to talk about my methodology with how I'm answering the question. Here's the 3 main rules I'm going by.
The infinite water source thing is
I'm
that
not counting anything infinite for 2 reasons. 1, because it's boring. If I gave up and said the answer is infinity, I wouldn't have to do all this research and go on rants about the viscosity of lava. And 2, most things in Minecraft that seem infinite are more accurately inexhaustible. You can take any amount from them and they won't run out, but they still aren't technically infinite. With water, you can even observe this, since it takes time to generate the new source block. This is not an endless number of water sources all existing together in these 4 blocks. It's 4 water sources that magically generate a new one if one goes missing. For Rule 2, and something else people question, when it doesn't contradict Rule 1, I am assuming conservation of mass usually. A lot of crafting recipes could have some loss, especially if they aren't reversible. But either way, in order to account for that, I would need to assume how much is lost. So I default to assuming it's 0, since that makes the math easiest. If there is ever a